Depression feels endless.
Depression feels lonely,
It's dark,
Outcasted.
no way out,
isolation,
isolated.
heavy. I would describe depression as isolation. You don't want to be around anybody. No one knows what you're going through. No one can possibly understand the darkness that you feel. You feel heavy. It feels like there's literally like a weight on your chest and you have no idea how to get rid of it. You don't even know how it got there in the first place.
Well, depression on scientific terms is described as a chemical imbalance in the brain where the brain doesn't produce enough dopamine or serotonin, which puts you in this sadness-like state. And this can range from about either a few days, few weeks, months, maybe even years.
Depression feels like you're in a dark world where you're by yourself. Imagine you're in the middle of the desert and there's no one around you, you got nothing, you're just lost, so like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Depression feels like you're alone or like locked out of the world.
It feels like it has such a good grip on you that, you feel like you can't escape it. And no matter what you try and what you want to do, it's just always there and it's always going to be lurking.
So I feel like when people hear depression or suicide, they think that it's like an emotion. So it's just like feeling sad. But depression isn't just an emotion, it's a condition, it's a state of mind. So I think some stigmas that come with that is just when people express that, hey, I'm feeling this way, or they're expressing that they're feeling suicidal, people often just downplay it. And they're just like, you're going through puberty, it's hormones, like you'll get over it. And it's really, that's just not the case. I feel like people make people feel like their depression isn't valid, that they have to get over it, that there's something that whatever they experienced, they need to have a better mindset, they need to have a better outlook on things. And if it was as easy as flipping a switch or making this decision to just see things positively, I think most depressed people would do that, but it's not, it's like having a dark room in your head and not being able to find the light switch.
Well, from my personal experience, a common misconception is when people say this person is going through depression and they should get over it, they just they want to live their life and have fun, they got to loosen up a bit, but in reality they need a helping hand.
When a person that's not going through depression sees someone going through depression, they'll think to themselves like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Yet they don't see that that person is actually going through a lot because they don't see that themselves, so they'll just choose to joke around or make stereotypes and stuff like that.
The average person thinks, okay, maybe that person needs space, or he or she needs to be left alone. People out there just kind of just see them as a blur and just kind of move on with their lives.
Growing up, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I wasn't very confident. I had a lot of insecurities within myself. Other than not being able to make friends, I was also bullied, called names and everything. And I wasn't really able to trust people, so I didn't really have anyone to rely on back in school. Throughout middle school, elementary, my baby brother was born with a heart defect. And this brought a lot of depression throughout my whole family because we didn't know if he was gonna survive or not going in through open heart surgery.
I grew up in a family where I lost my two brothers at a very young age, so that really affected my childhood and my high school and middle school experience. My parents were grieving most of my life, so I grew up with the mindset that life is about suffering. I continued to isolate myself from people. I really didn't think I had a community of people that could ever understand the grief and the pain and the darkness that I felt inside of my head, inside of my heart. I felt worthless. I felt less than everyone else. I always tried to be better because I felt I had to be perfect, and every time I messed up, I always questioned, why am I here? What is my point for existing? What is there in this life that I am supposed to just suffer through? Is there something that I'm here to do? I just didn't understand.
I felt depressed and suicidal because as I was growing up, I had a family of, a mother, a dad, and they basically split when I was about around 5 years old, and not knowing what a family really feels like. It's like a total, misfit. I slowly developed a psychological mental issue where I felt, uncomfortable, socially awkward, had a very high anxiety. I was insulted, I was, made fun of.
My depression was caused by bullying, backstabbing, girls messing with my emotions, comments being made about my weight and stuff like that, isolating myself, pushing away people who ever loved me. and it got pretty serious. It got to the point where I actually even tried to take my own life twice.
Because I remember like a long time ago, I had my grandma was like in a really bad state. She was diabetic, and then she was actually ended up in the hospital, and like I didn't get to see her before she passed away, and I had the opportunity to, but the fact that my psychological issue just like held me back, like that literally nearly tore myself apart. Like I just felt so down. I was very disappointed in myself.
God really gave me courage to get out of my comfort zone and meet new people, attend church more, join a growth group, go to Celebrate Recovery, get involved in my school's Uprising Club. Throughout this process, I was able to meet new people going through similar things that I was going through. So it made me feel like I had other people that I could talk to, and I just didn't feel alone.
It started when my mother, when she realized I was going through a psychological mental state, she started going to the church, and she tried praying to God that I would have a better mindset. So over time, I prayed to God that, you know, I could get out of my situation, and he said, you know, Chad, you like seriously need to change your mindset. So then it just snapped.
My older brother Andy actually invited me to a concert, and when I went, I had the time of my life. It was an amazing experience. It really helped me out. It got my mind off the bullying, brought back a lot of good childhood memories. It was something that I really loved as a kid and something I let go of along the way, and then God brought it back because he knew it would help me. I felt like it was a new beginning in my life. And I also found hope when I tried to commit suicide the first time. I was in my kitchen and I tried reaching for a knife, but I felt the strong presence hold me back as I was trying to reach for it. And I felt like that strong presence was there for a reason, and that strong presence was God. I feel like that was God's way of saying, you know, you're not done here on earth. You know, I've got more stuff for you to do. I met a friend, and that friend randomly invited me to a Bible club. I went. This one nice girl named Hannah introduced herself and said, welcome to the Bible club here at the school. And I was kind of like whatever with it, but along the way I became a Christian, I became a lot more faithful, and I felt a lot more connected to God than I've ever been in my whole life.
God gave me hope in my depression in a really special way. I was a sophomore in high school, and I had attempted suicide twice. The second attempt, I grabbed a bottle of pills, I went to my room, and I was just sweared I was going to end it, and I cried myself to sleep that night. When I woke up in my dream, I remember seeing Jesus, and I sat on Jesus's lap, and he was huge. Like, I just remember feeling so small, and I just remember him whispering and just kind of like laughing, like he was so happy, and he was like, I'm not done with you yet. And so from that moment I woke up and I just had those words ringing in my ears, I'm not done with you yet. And I knew that God had something for me. There was a reason for me to be here. There was a reason for me to carry on, that life wasn't about suffering. There was something more than that. And so that moment gave me hope to carry on, to live, and to wake up the next day and continue to seek God and seek out his plans and his purpose for my life. Hi, my name is Hannah, and I am a part of a generation of hope.
Hi, I'm Chad, and I'm part of a generation of hope. The fire inside of me burns brighter than the fire around me.
Hi, I'm Zael, and I'm part of a generation of hope. Or you can call me Z for short if you want.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm part of the generation of hope.